Hello, how are you today?
I'm just fine. What a beautiful day.
Yes, nice weather, on my way to grab something to eat. I'm coming from the campus theater.
Really, what was happening at the theater today?
Oh my god, you didn't know about the Educational Pioneers lecture?
Oh no, I forgot. Please tell me all about it.
Today, lecture was about John Henry Clark and Jean Piaget.
I can't believe I miss it. Could you tell me a little bit about John Henry Clark?
I'm going to portrait as I'm him, just to do a little character role-playing.
Sounds good.
I was born John Henry Clark on January 1, 1915, in Union Springs, Alabama, the youngest child of John, a sharecropper, and my mother wished for me to become a farmer.
A farmer, what was she thinking?
My dream was to become an historian professor, and pioneer the creation of Pan-African and Africana studies. I left Georgia in 1933 by freight train and went to Harlem, New York as part of the great migration of rural blacks out of the South to northern cities. There I pursued scholarships and renamed myself John Henrik, after rebel Norwegian playwright Henrik Ibsen. During my first marriage I had one daughter, Lily. Then in 1961, I married Eugenia Evans in New York, and we had a son and daughter, Zinga Marie and Sonny Kojo. In 1997, I married his longtime companion Sybil William. My views on education was very important, so, when I arrived in Harlem at the age of 18 in 1933, I developed as a writer and lecturer during the Great Depression years. I joined many study circles such as the Harlem History Club and the Harlem Writers' Work, and then studied intermittently at New York University, Columbia University. From 1941 to 1945, I served as a non-commissioned officer in the United States Army Air Forces, ultimately becoming a master sergeant. I taught at the New School for Social Research from 1956 to 1958.
Thank you very much for your military service.
You're very welcome. While traveling in West Africa in 1958, I met Kwame Nkrumah, whom I mentored as a student in the hours, and was offered a job working as a journalist for the Ghana Evening News. I also lectured at the University of Ghana and in Nigeria at the University of Ibadan.
Lots of traveling?
Besides teaching at Hunter College and Cornell University, I founded professional associations to support the study of black culture. While there I was a founder and first president of the African Heritage Studies Association, which supported scholars in areas of history, culture, literature and the arts.
Nice.
I influenced educational thinking by empowering the Black Power movement in the 1960s. I began to advocate a kind of black nationalism, studies of the African American experience, and challenged the views of historians to help shift the way for African history. I wanted to devote it to redressing what I saw as racist suppression and distortion of African history. I was a professor of Black and Puerto Rican Studies at Hunter College of the City University of New York from 1969 to 1986, where I served as founding chairman of the department.
That's Dr. Martin Luther King era. He was great.
I also was the Carter G. Woodson Distinguished Visiting Professor of African History at Cornell University's Africana Studies and Research Center. In 1968 I founded the African Heritage Studies Association and the Black Caucus of the African Studies Association. In 1994, I earned a doctorate from the non-accredited Pacific Western University, now California Miramar University in Los Angeles.
Wow, you did great portraying John Henry Clark. Thank you very much for such exciting information. I know you are hungry, but let me buy you lunch. But tell me a bit about Jean Piaget. But you have to do the same way. Role play, it's just most interesting.
It is going to cost a big lunch. I want to go Golden Corral buffet.
I love Golden Corral.
My name is Jean Piaget. I was born on August 9, 1896, Neuchâtel, in the Francophone region of Switzerland. I was the oldest son of Arthur Piaget, who a professor of medieval literature at the University of Neuchâtel, and my mother Rebecca Jackson. When I was 11, I wrote a short notice on an albino sparrow, and considered as the start of a brilliant scientific career. I was a precocious child who developed an interest in biology and the natural world. When I was 15, I became interested in zoology and epistemology due to his godfather's urgings to study the fields of philosophy and logic.
You were so good portraying people.
In 1923, I married Valentine Chatney and have 3 children, Jacqueline, Lucien and Laurent. I was educated at the University of Neuchâtel, and studied briefly at the University of Zurich, where became a Swiss psychologist and epistemologist known for his pioneering work in child development. Piaget's theory of cognitive development and epistemological view are together called genetic epistemology. My views on education are of very importance. As the director of the International Bureau of Education, I declared that only education is capable of saving our societies from possible collapse. It created the International Center for Genetic Epistemology in Geneva in 1955 while on the faculty of the University of Geneva.
How do you remember all these details? Sorry for the interruption, please continue.
This led me to influence the theory that young children's cognitive processes are inherently different from those of adults. Ultimately, I proposed a theory of cognitive developmental stages in which individuals exhibit certain common patterns of cognition in each period of development. My theoretical research programs is consisting of 4 phases.
Oh, I know that 4 phases. 1. The sociological model of development. 2. The biological model of intellectual development. 3. The elaboration of the logical model of intellectual development. 4. The study of figurative thought.
That's right.
Sorry for interrupting again. I will let you finish.
Oak. I investigated a hidden side of children's minds and proposed that children move from a position of us-centrism to sociocentrism. For this explanation I combined the use of psychological and clinical methods to create what I called a semi-clinical interview. I studied the habits of my own children and began the interview by asking children standardized questions, and depending on how they answered, I would ask them a series of non-standard questions. I was looking for what I called spontaneous conviction, so I often asked questions the children neither expected nor anticipated. In my studies I noticed there was a gradual progression from intuitive to scientific and socially acceptable responses.
Nice.
I theorized children did this because of the social interaction and the challenge to younger children's ideas by the ideas of those children who are more advanced. There is us/m/f/ on when a child responds to a new event in a way that is consistent with an existing schema. I believe infants were engaging in an active assimilation when they sucked on everything in their reach and transformed all objects into an object to be sucked. I also observed the children not only assimilating objects to fit their needs, but also modifying some of their mental structures to meet the demands of the environment. So this is how I continued to study throughout my life. Oh, thanks for that. I'm hungry now. May I go to Golden Corral and then for a few drinks? That sound good.
Let's go.